Forget corporate strategy. For Melanie Lowe, business success is putting beauty into the eye of the beholder. She is the owner of M Space Design. And Melanie, welcome to the Language of Business.
Thank you.
How much familiarity do you have with a company before you can comfortably redesign their logo?
Well, it depends if I'm doing just the logo or the whole brand identity, but you get to know them pretty well. You have to really find out some things about them. You don't have to know every detail, but you need the big picture of the brand. You have to know what they do, who they're talking to. You really have to get that brand, and you have to know their culture. Usually there's a visionary, usually marketing department or a CEO. They can tell you who they are, and it's usually enough to go on.
How much time do you spend studying your client's competition?
So whether it's a rebrand or a startup, I study the client's competition, their space. We want to know what it looks like, what's out there, so that you don't repeat it. So you're not doing something that's the same and you're not stepping on toes that are out there.
Is most of your work done for new brands or existing brands?
I do both. Some are startups, but a lot are later stages. And either way, they all need to make a change around their brand identity. An example of that would be Wayfair. They were known as CSN stores. They own things like upholstery.com and bedroomfurniture.com, things like that. And they wanted to make one cohesive brand. So it was a challenge because they wanted to be everything home to everybody. It was a big idea. But what it came up with was 4 houses in different colors that came together forming one shape that looked like an open box. And that referred to their packaging, shipping aspect of an e-commerce business. And then we came up with color palettes and photography styles and web layouts, and worked with a wonderful writer who came up with their A Zillion Things Home, their tagline and voice, and just went on to develop further the brand identity.
What tends to come first, the brand personality or the strategic positioning behind it?
Both are intertwined. Really, you can't have one without the other. So in a case like Zipcar, for instance, there's the pragmatic reasons that they're there, which is cars, wheels when you want them, transportation, and then there's the other ones like freedom and fun, and you really have to take all that into account when developing an ID for somebody. It's not just one or the other.
When you took them over, were they always Zipcar, or were they changing their name as well?
No, they were Zipcar. The brand that you see out there now is the original logo that's out there now is what I did. But at the time, they had something that existed. It just didn't read well on cars. A lot of times when I work in a rebranding project, there's an intrinsic problem with the ID that they have. So in this case, what they had didn't read. So I worked on helping them bringing that up.
When you design a brand, a lot of thought goes into the color, the logo, the font, etc. Do you think the average person gets 100% of it?
Oh, no. You have to explain it. I mean, when I have presentations, I go through and I explain absolutely everything they're looking at and why they're looking at it. And that's what's usually rooted in the strategy, because otherwise you will have people saying, I don't like green. Green means envy. Well, green can mean growth, and green can mean, good things. So people get caught up in little details, so you try to root it in the strategy in that case.
What happens when a client insists on a logo or a color scheme that you know isn't going to do well?
That does happen, because again, design's really personal. So sometimes there is a CEO that really will hate a certain color or like a certain color in particular. They don't comment on fonts quite as much, but color, yes. So in the Wayfair example that I mentioned, the founders really liked green and purple. And some attempts that had been made previously with bright green and purple were horrible. They were just, they vibrated together. So, I might take a little license. So in the case of their logo, I used a dark plum for purple and more of a mossy green. You had to tone them down so that it didn't vibrate. But sometimes if they're being insistent and it's really not working, oftentimes they will see that once they see it in use. You have to show them sort of the bad idea, and then you show them what your recommendation is.
How many of your clients actually use focus groups with their customers while you're involved with the process?
Focus groups are tough because everyone's a critic, and again, when it comes to design, We all think we're designers. We all think we can, oh yeah, that should be blue or green. You know, everybody's a critic. So focus groups for layouts, more layouts. I don't get it so much with logo design, but you'll get it with layouts, advertising, they get it a lot. People will criticize, and if you really want to go down to the common denominator, you're going to end up with a blue, because in the West, we like blue, a mid-range blue. In the East, it's red. So there's certain things that a lot of people in a room can agree on. You don't want design by committee. You will not get your best product.
What trends are you noticing in your business these days?
The funny thing with trends is that I find that when I present ideas to people, they say they want something new. They want to break new ground, and they always say they love Apple. But when they really see something new, it's uncomfortable. And somebody's comfortable choosing an idea that they've seen before, hence the trend. It might be something that's already out there. That feels comfortable. They're going to be able to sell that in to their president or whoever they have to much easier. Apple, when they named the company Apple, the landscape at the time was DEC, Compaq, you know, really Microsoft, really computer names. People would have criticized the name Apple. That's a kid's store. That's a record company. You know, I don't know if people get the courage that it took to go a different route.
How many of your clients really want to take a chance and be different?
They all say they do. But like I said before, it really takes courage. And the ones that actually do, they're confident in their decision making. My suggestion here would be hire a good designer. Hire somebody whose work you've seen and you like, and then trust them. Trust the process.
Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you.
Melanie Lowe, the owner of M-Space Design.
Next, how to brand a radio station as the language of business continues.